Today I'm covering Cloud Expo Europe in London. The trolley had to be 3, 2. There's trolleys everywhere. Today I'm covering Cloud Expo. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the Cloud Therapist channel. I'm Richard Simon. Today I'm covering Cloud. Oh my God. Hello and welcome to the Cloud Therapist channel. I'm Richard Simon. Today I'm covering the Cloud Expo Europe event in ExCeL in London. I'm really pleased to be able to do a quick review with Bevan from Bloor Research. I'm also quite grateful for the Rela8 Group for giving us some space in their Technology Leaders Lounge to do the talk. So how are you doing, Paul?
I'm fine, Richard. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Yeah.
How are you? How you been enjoying the show so far?
It's been really interesting. Enjoy is probably a strange term when you have to slog around as big a show as this. So I think one of the things is the size of this show.
Yes.
And the number of people who are here. Right. I mean, this is probably the busiest I've seen this show in the 5 or 6 years that I've come. You know, the 3 or 4 years before lockdown and then since.
Yeah.
It's very, very busy.
Yeah, it certainly looks much busier than the last year and much bigger than last year as well. Excellent.
Yeah.
So just tell me what's been the most interesting topics for you from the show.
So I think the 3 stand out as both as being A, interesting, but B, you can see from the number of people attending the talks or on the stands. The 3 really are, the first one is sustainability. That's really taken off, particularly over in data center world. It is the number 1 theme, but it's bled into Cloud Expo as well. There's quite a lot of talk going on around that. And that's been really interesting to hear the different approaches to that. And I think the guys in the data center world have got a really good understanding of what needs to be done. It's still a little high level over in the Cloud Expo side.
Right. Yeah.
So that's number 1. Second was AI. I mean, anything to do with AI, particularly analytics, AI and analytics. Right. They're all over the stands. You could see them, really busy stands. Lots of talks going on, fully populated. So I think AI is having its moment here. That's for sure.
And I guess we have ChatGPT to thank for that.
Probably, yeah. I think it is. I think it's on everybody's lips, isn't it?
Sure.
Whether it's real, but I think you go talk to the guys who are doing data analytics, and they've got a much more grounded view, I think, of what AI can do for them. But AI is certainly having its moment in the sun.
Sure.
And then the final one is hybrid cloud. Everybody's talking hybrid and multi-cloud. I even had one company talking poly-cloud.
Right. That's going to be interesting.
That's going to be actually when I challenged that company and said, "What on earth is poly-cloud?"
It's poly-cloud, yeah.
And he said, "Well, it's a sort of follow-on from multi-cloud. It's where people use one application like 365 in Azure, and they use another application in Google Cloud and a different application in AWS." And I actually said, I actually think that came before genuine multi-cloud.
Yeah.
So I think it was, but he kept on talking about poly-cloud.
Yeah. He
mentioned it 3 or 4 times. I had to pick him up on it afterwards.
Right.
Saying, what on earth was poly-cloud?
Right.
But everywhere you go, I mean, and close your ears now, Richard, but there's an awful lot of talk of repatriation. And hybrid cloud, and you know my views, and we'll wait for a monthly rant before I go into whys and wherefores.
Yeah, absolutely.
But hybrid cloud is definitely a big thing.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely cloud repatriation. I've certainly heard in other events that I've attended as well. So I think that's going to continue for a while, and I think you and I are going to pick up on it in our Cloud State of Play, our monthly rants as well. Absolutely. So the main ones that I picked up on were, and these were I think officially from the Cloud Expo organizers, were hybrid and multi-cloud, skills, talent, and culture. That seemed to be quite interesting. I wish I actually had a little bit more time to look at the cultural aspect of it, what they actually meant by that. That would have been really interesting to maybe dive into that a little bit more. And then future tech, that just kind of seemed to be it's all out there somewhere sort of thing, and it's all coming.
Yeah, one of the challenges of this show is getting around everything. I mean, if you're a specialist in one area, you can cover it. But you know, looking at, there were so many talks that I couldn't get to because I was in another one I wanted to see.
Yeah.
So it's a real challenge
tracks,
when you're going across multiple tracks. So I think that's a challenge. The ones I did hear about culture tended to be a little bit motherhood and apple pie.
Right.
You know, we all know. Hold on a minute, we know that.
Yeah.
So I was actually quite disappointed in the main stage.
Right.
Partly it's a difficult environment because of the noise.
Yes.
And they were trying to do things like fireside chats.
Yes.
Well, they didn't work.
Oh, right.
In too big an environment like that. It just, so they ought to think twice. But
I think they were more successful in the smaller theatres.
Correct.
I was in the DevOps one,
right,
and that actually was relatively okay. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the smaller ones. I mean, for me, the first one I ever went to, which this Wednesday morning, was around sustainability, and it was real data center specialists.
Right.
And it was the most informative. It really was very, very good.
Sure.
Whereas quite often you get what I call sort of clickbait headlines.
Right.
And when you sit down in this show, it's nothing like what the headline says it's going to be. And that's happened a few times here.
Right.
So,
yes,
some of the talks have been really good, but they didn't relate to the headline.
Yeah, so you were going to mention one that you really enjoyed. What was that one?
So that one was called It's Not Easy Being Good, a story about data quality.
Ah.
And it was a woman, Dr. Vidhi Karthikeyan. She's the head of data and insights at UView.
Right.
Okay. Absolutely fascinating. A number of reasons. One, she linked it to the business really well.
Fantastic. We always like that.
Yep. Very clear and articulate. Reasons why something worked and why something didn't. Very honest when they had trouble.
Right.
And it was about how do you get quality data in which to get your insights from the raw data they pick up from the feeds from the YouTube UView boxes.
Right. Yeah.
And she delivered it so well. She was engaging, she was clear, and she linked it each time to what did we get out of it? What did we learn?
Right.
What would we do different? On three, and she narrowed it down to 3 topics, and just the clearest, and wonderful presentation, very engaging. I mean, I could have listened to her for a lot longer. I wanted her to go on. So she was the highlight of the show for me. Fantastic,
excellent. Okay, so just kind of final, maybe thoughts, any particular statements, quotes, views that were intriguing, controversial, thought-provoking, whatever.
The ones that I'm not sure I can give you a specific quote, but from all the ones that we went.
What is the general theme, maybe?
The general theme that was quite stark was the lack of integration and understanding about the cloud between the data center world and the cloud, the Cloud Expo, and almost a sense of the data center people being rather happy that the hyperscalers were having a problem.
Right.
And so there was a complete lack of understanding about the difference between cloud as a model for a consumption model and the underlying technology. And so there's a real gap in understanding, but still between the people who run the physical data centers and the people who run and develop for the cloud.
Yeah, and we saw, you and I saw that with the Clouded documentary as well, and we did a review of that. So if you guys haven't checked that out, do go and check that out on the channel. I'll drop a link in the description. So that was certainly that kind of attitude, I think, towards cloud.
Yeah, and it hasn't really changed.
And they're here as well. So the whole Clouded people here, yeah.
But only once in this show have I heard anybody try and articulate the difference between the cloud as a consumption model and the underlying technology.
Yeah.
Everybody else uses cloud in a very generic sense, and I think that's not helpful at the moment.
Yeah, I asked, I mean, the one that I picked up on was when I attended the DevOps event, and then there was a talk in the DevOps Theatre, I think, where they had a panel of people. I won't go into the details of who the panel was, I'll maybe put links in the description. But I asked them in terms of how does GitOps fit in with DevOps, and the one panelist who took it on said, he basically said, well, if it works for you, then use it. That was the extent of the knowledge that was kind of on GitOps.
And I think that's part of the problem with the show generally, is that to get the real specialists in here and talking, it might put a lot of people off because it's too technical. So one of the challenges here is it's such a wide audience they're playing to, and trying to get the level right. I mean, there were a number of times I could have quite happily screamed at somebody because I thought the level was wrong for the audience they'd got. And I still have to wonder why IBM are here. I mean, you know, it seems out of kilter with everything else going on around it. It's very strange. I agree.
Okay, so I mean, obviously we won't be able to kind of cover all of the events that are going on, all the talks, and won't be able to the show justice, but we'll try and maybe provide some links and any sort of stuff that's related as well. But yeah, so I appreciate your time again, Paul. Thank you very much for your insights.
Great to speak to you as ever, Richard. And I'm going off to put my feet into a bowl of hot water, I think.
I think that's well deserved, Paul. You've done really well. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. As I said, somebody said, you do your 10,000 steps just trying to get a cup of coffee here.
Yeah, I agree. That's ExCeL. That's ExCeL. Anyway, okay, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this short review of the Cloud Expo Europe at ExCeL in London, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching this talk. If you enjoyed the content, please comment, share, like, and subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.